Hello folks, welcome to 4coder Friday. So today I'm gonna explain what we're getting into, but first I need to clean up the preprocessor code that I had started last weekend. I didn't stream it, but I started working on this preprocessor after I got a bunch of other things checked off. The last item here on my to-do list. I thought I needed to write my own preprocessor to do it, but actually there's another way. So get rid of that. Get rid of this. Hey, Flying Solomon. Valbus asks, when will the network folder fix build be published? I assume, yeah, you're talking about when am I gonna post the update that has this fix. I'm planning to get it out pretty soon, I think. I'm fixing this issue here and then doing a few other tweaks that I can do very easily. And then I'll just release a build that's like basically a round of bug fixes and tweaks build before I get on to doing the next big build. So yeah, I think it won't be too long. Probably next weekend. I'm thinking. All right, let me. By the way, let me know if the font is big enough and readable. I'm going to have it like this, and let me pull up some code to make an example. Build super x64.bat. Let me know if you can make out those letters, if they're readable, or if I need to change font sizes. Cache Override asks, do you think 4coder will ever be able to autocomplete struct members? It seems like there's a good chance that it will. Yeah, hard to say. It won't happen anytime soon, but I could totally see it happening. Let's see, hold on, let me pick the right font size here. That's humongous. That looks a bit strange. No. Could do something like that. I don't know. What to do, Where is... oh, there it is, hack. Suppose I can leave it like this. I can't. I suppose I could do a dark background actually at this time at least. Maybe I don't know how long I'll be able to last on it because it's gonna get brighter in here, but yeah, I can do that. Alright, so let's actually get to doing stuff. Jim asks, is it C preprocessor time or CGM? Or I'm not sure how to go about saying that, but yeah. No, yes and no. We're going to use a C preprocessor, but I'm not writing one from scratch. I went back on that after I announced it because I discovered another way to do it. So let me explain the basic situation I'm in and why I thought I wanted a preprocessor and why I decided not to make one, instead do something a lot easier. So the situation is when you are trying to build your custom layer for 4coder, right now it does this meta generator step. You see it builds 4coder metadata generator. I could feel that coming for a while. Jeez. Okay. So you build your metadata generator and then you run it. And when you run it, you just specify, right now, you just specify where to load files from and where to dump the output, like what path, the path at which to dump the output file. And I want to change this a little bit, because by specifying just here's the root folder of the code, what ends up happening is it recursively searches down, finds all of the code files, and parses all of them, and then anytime it sees commands in any of them, it puts it into the table. So the problem with that is, for instance, there's this 4coder experiments file that is not actually included by default. So if you're just building the default build, like targeting something that doesn't include these procedures here, then like it will parse this and see that this code exists and go, okay, there's some procedure called killrect, and it will stuff that into here. So it makes it declares that procedure even though it won't end up getting defined. It sticks it in this table here, right, as a pointer to a procedure. And then if you include, the default build does not include this, but it's supposed to be able to include this, and some people have tried to use it to build like command help type things. But because there's these procedures that are being stuffed into this table that don't actually exist, they get linker errors, and it's a little bit hard to get it to work. So the goal is to fix that, to only put things into this table that we can actually link to, that actually are getting compiled, right? And that's where this need for preprocessor comes in, because in order to only pull in the things that are actually being used, the only way to be correct, the only way to set that up in a way that actually definitely works, is to basically say, well, what are we building right here? We're building, by the way, why are these still all caps? I have to keep working on this code a little bit, but so we're building this source, like whatever this file happens to be once it's expanded, right? So by default, it's default bindings or whatever. We're building that file, and then we are passing various options to it that decide what code actually gets compiled. And what I was thinking was, okay, well, before when I run metadata generator, rather than recursing through all the files, what I need to do is run a preprocessor and only include the files that are actually being included, and then from there I can parse and figure out what I need. But even that isn't fully correct, because, for instance, depending on which compiler you have, Visual Studio, CL, or like Clang or GCC, the rules about macro expansion are slightly different in a way that people don't usually end up bumping into it to make a difference, but some people do. Like, I know, for instance, I believe Boost has a library that uses the differences in how macros expand to be able to determine what rule for macro expansion is being applied, and then it sets mode up for other Boost libraries to know what macros they can, what macro tricks they can and can't use, and stuff like this. So after announcing that I was going to write my own preprocessor and then discussing it with other people and thinking about it, I realized the much simpler thing is, hey, rather than trying to emulate all the flags that every compiler might have and all the separate behaviors their expansion rules might have, why not just take the easier route and run this in with a flag that tells it to just do preprocessing. So here's the idea. Alright, so so what we want to do is use those options, these options, and these options, but none of these. Instead, we're going to do, I think it's P. Let me double check this. CL compiler preprocessor. Yeah. So /p will have it output a file that's just the pre-processed result of this, and not anything else after that, right? It won't actually do anything besides generating a pre-processed file. When it does that, that's going to make the file, let's see, source default bindings.cpp. So what I'm going to want to do is, okay, let's fix a few things. First of all, let's rename this to little case source. Once we've built that, we're going to want to figure out like a preproc file, right? And we'll find that by doing, alright, I need to do the darn, like, this nasty string substringing thing on source so that I can get, hold on, let me fix these real quick. All this is pet peeving me right now. Alright, so Flying Solomon correctly points out that I am going to lose, like, the custom command sigs will get expanded into just procedures. So what he's talking about is this right here and this right here are macros. When I run the preprocessor, they're not going to be there. They're going to get expanded. So the other part of the plan, thank you for reminding me, is to define those how do I think it's just like this. The plan is I'm just going to define both of those, custom command sig, custom doc, and there's a third one which is hold on, give me keep macros, meta macros, custom command doc, and then there's not sure where it ended up. There we go. Custom alias. There we go. Oh wait, nope, custom alias equals custom alias. Alright, so that will keep it from expanding those out. Alright, so I think that's how I want to do it. Actually, I'm not totally sure. Let me think this through in a couple of other ways. But first, let me get the preproc file. Actually, I set that to push that to-do list up, and I've been sitting on it ever since. What? I'm torn about what I want to do next. I'm going to get this this substring nonsense figured out. So let me figure out how to search that. Batch script substring. Let's see. start length. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so we want source 0 -4 variable it's a twiddle. Alright. Preproc file. And then at the end we want to be able to delete the preproc file. There we go. Alright, so that's the build script. Let me catch up with the chat real quick. Alright, so we set up the macros. I need to make sure I'm including those here. Meta macros. Now the only other problem is, and this is something someone mentioned, that I don't want, when I'm doing this, there's a couple of sources where I might find these. So the next thing I want to track down is where do I define custom doc and all of those guys. Okay, custom doc. Define. I must be defining it somewhere. What are you talking about? Ah, here it is. Alright, so yeah, this is basically saying for each of these we look and say if it's not defined, then define it this way, but we're predefining all of them. So those will all come up. Those will all be gone in the preprocess file. We won't see any of these defines, and if we've predefined them, then it will keep it'll keep them in the preprocess result the way I have it set up right now. So the only other problem is I want to look at all the locations where this can happen, because yes, if it's in command metadata, I want to actually not use it. I want to see if there's any other place like that. So all of these occurrences custom command sig. I guess if the generated file had a way for me to kill all of these, because I'm not going to be able to, it's going to end up pulling these all in a bunch of extra times. So yeah, what I'm going to do is say we have a macro that surrounds all of this. An if-def, I should say, or an if-defined. Metadata generator. Here we go. Out. If not defined, no command metadata, then do that. Down here at the very bottom. Wait, where do I close the file? You're kidding me, right? Okay. There we go. Okay, so that helps, and then what I can do is, since that'll be right there, I can exclude all of that right here by going no command metadata. Yeah. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to run everything up to here real quick so that I can see the preprocessed file. One second. Let me take a quick look. So someone in the chat's saying we got a bitrate problem. We're not dropping any frames, so maybe my settings are weird. Where is that? Alright, yeah, my bitrate is set to 700. It seems like it's probably low, right? What bitrate should I have? Do you think? I'll wait. I'll wait on this for a second. While we wait, though, I will go ahead and look up this all in build. Alright, so why did that end up there? I guess this just gets run from that folder. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so all of these are still just in here the way they've always been, so I can parse them out the same way. I just want to take a quick look through to see custom command sig. Yeah, from there. Just want to take a quick look through to see if there's any other occurrences of this popping up somewhere surprising that I want to try to eliminate. Alright, so I have confirmation that that's a low bitrate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the stream and come back with a slightly higher bitrate as if nothing happened. One sec.